And the first thing we're going to make is a ragu for you. So we want to start with some onions in a little bit of butter. So get the butter going until it's hot. And then here's just one onion, coarsely chopped up. You want to get that going, just get it soft. We're making something called a sofrito. And then with the onion, you want to have some celery. And now we want a carrot, and we want to dice that up as well so everything is just about the same size. So in goes the carrot. And there's another little piece I'm just going to throw in. And now get this soft. And while that is getting soft, I've got to put some pasta in the water. What have I always told you about cooking pasta? Start in a pasta pot or a pot that's large enough to accommodate 4 to 6 quarts of boiling water. Boiling water, and my water is boiling. And now I want to add a tablespoon of salt. So for every pound of pasta that you're cooking, you want to add 1 tablespoon of salt. And today we're making a ragu to go with ziti. So I'm going to put the pasta in, a pound, and give that a stir. And now we want that to come back to the boil. So to do that, just put your cover back on a jar, and then when that comes back to the boil, we'll come back and we'll take that out. So now what else goes into this wonderful ragu? A ragu should say to you meat. There is meat in this. And today we're using pork because, of course, in Umbria, lots of pork is used. So you want about 3/4 of a pound of ground pork. Not too lean, you want a little bit of fat on that. So the ground pork goes in, and we want to brown this along with some ground beef. So 3/4 of a pound of the ground pork along with 1/4 of a pound of ground beef. So that goes in. I want to get that nice and brown because this is going to cook. This is a ragu that's going to cook for about 45 minutes or so. You want the ragu to be thick. You don't want it to be a thin mixture. So you want to cook off a lot of the liquid. And now I want to give this a little bit of salt, a little sea salt, and a little bit of pepper. We want to have some ham. And here we have just boiled ham. We bought it in a chunk. We cubed it up. And then we want tomatoes. Now these are plum tomatoes. They are the tomato of choice, I'm always telling you, that Italians love to use for cooking. Just want to get the seeds out of that. If you like the seeds, you can just leave them in. You want about 1 pound of plum tomatoes in this. So now we can put the ham in. And this is going to be a pretty hearty mixture when we're done here. Take my cover off now because we want this to boil until the pasta is al dente. Let me give it a stir. Make sure nothing is sticking. And cook this, and we'll have to test this for doneness later on. We'll come back and we'll take one out and we'll check and see where it is. So give it a nice stir and then just let it go. So we can now put in the tomatoes. Tomatoes go in. And if you wanted to use canned tomatoes for this instead of fresh tomatoes, well, you could do that as well. And stir this around. And now I'm going to raise the heat a little, get that on high, and give it about a cup of Montefalco Rosso. And you can find Montefalco Rosso in a wine store. So now we want this to cook down some. A little bit more salt, a little bit of coarse black pepper, and that's all there is to that. We may have to come back and correct the seasoning a little later on, but now this has got to really cook down for about 45 minutes. So now we want to cover this and let that go. Take a look at that. You see how much different that looks now. It's nicely thickened and it's ready for our pasta. So I'm going to turn that off. Let's go back to the pasta and see where we are here, because we do not want to overcook this. And the way to tell is to just take one or two. I usually take two because I love pasta. Take a piece and break it, you see? And you look right inside. You look right inside. And if you can see that there is any white flour remaining there, you know that that pasta is not cooked, because this should be cooked to the tooth. And guess what? It needs 1 minute. I got to go back and give this a little bit of all things, nutmeg. Let me tell you a little secret too. Sometimes this ragu also gets a thin shaving of black truffles. Shake off most of the water, not all of it, and dump it right into the pan, just like that. One falls between the stove. So what? That's the kitchen. Then you want to mix this around, incorporating all of that ragu with the pasta. And because this is a thick ragu, we don't want to, in this case, take some of the pasta water and add it to this, because we want this to stay fairly thick. Look at how beautiful this is. We're going to put a little pecorino cheese down in the base. And now, I'm going to give this a great toss in the pan to make sure. Oh, I wish you could be here just to smell this ragu. I'm going to take it right out into our beautiful pan, just like that. I don't want to waste any of that. And again, give it a great toss. And be ready to serve this with a wonderful sprinkling of pecorino cheese right over the top, just like that. Isn't that gorgeous?